Hello and welcome to Washington Live. We are powered by KCTC. I am not Diana Rich. I am your host, Tim Elliott. Today I'm filling in for Diana. She must be out doing something fun. To my right, I am joined by my new super producer for the time being, Roy Manfredi.
There you go.
I had to put my glasses on. Our first show together, Roy. Good.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you.
So you've got one or two of these under your belt so far?
I think this is number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah, lose track after 2.
Well, okay, but are you going down to Mount Pleasant and keeping that one running too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Working with Mike.
Okay, so now this is like old hat to you.
Yeah, this is hopefully everything is working well because I don't have any excuses anymore.
I will tell you this: I have no idea if we're live or not because you got a lot of stuff going on over there. So I'm assuming you're doing your job. Assuming you're doing your job. Well, later on today, Roy, we're joined by our guest today, Mr. Mike Zahs.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. I've called him Mr. Zahs most of my life, but now I feel like I can call you Mike now. So
I can't do anything to you.
Mike is one of the most interesting people I know, so this is going to be a fun show. Before we get to Mike, let's start with some weather. Hey, Roy.
Yes.
I'm getting hot.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's hot. And what they say is we got a heat advisory that goes into effect at 11. That is right about the time I'm going out to the golf course.
Oh, yeah, good luck. Bring water.
So, I enjoy golf, and it's going to be kind of a special day today because there's a nice guest coming in, a former Iowa wrestler by the name of Barry Davis. I think he is scheduled to join us for the golf round today. So it'll be fun to see him, but I am personally not looking forward to sweating to death. But today's high is going to be around 97. The heat advisory goes through 9 o'clock tonight. So it's going to be a warm one. I'm not going to preach to anybody. Know your body, keep it hydrated, stay out of the sun, all that good stuff. Local events. We've got tonight, we have and Thursday, the free merchant movie is going on at our esteemed theater, the State Theater, which Mike knows a little bit about. That is Puss in Boots today and tomorrow at 11 and 1:30, and those tickets are available. There's many sponsors around town that have those tickets if you're interested.
That's a good movie, Puss in Boots.
I have not seen it.
No, it's good.
I'm probably not going because I'll be probably be on the golf course or recovering from being on the golf course. So, good time, good thing to do to sit inside during the heat advisory and enjoy that beautiful theater. Every time I go in there, I love it.
And the State Theater in Washington, Iowa was the first building built in Iowa air conditioned.
There's another fun fact that I don't think anybody might have known but you, Mike.
Totally useless fact.
Yeah, but kind of cool. Say that again.
It was the first building in Iowa built air conditioned. And they used that air conditioner for over 100 years.
Oh, my goodness. Had no clue.
I'm hoping they've since replaced it, though.
They have. I think it still works, but they haven't.
Is it still in the building, you think?
It's in the basement.
And that's amazing to me. So cool. Okay.
That was the purpose.
To be cool. Absolutely. We also have Farmers Market coming up tomorrow. That is just a huge event. I talk about it every week. I'm still astonished at the people that come out to that on the square. And we have Mark Jansen performing for Thursday Night Live from 6 to 7. He'll be on the bandstand. And then the municipal band starts promptly at 8. But I imagine that's a little warm as well. Friday, Elliott Realty Group is hosting a housewarming party. It doesn't have the details of where this is, and for the life of me, I do know that place, Elliott Realty Group, but I can't tell you the address. But somewhere on Facebook or something, you should be able to find that address. But that's open to the public from 5 to 9. And then Friday and Saturday, we're going to talk about this more, is the 26th Annual Britain Film Festival and Ice Cream Social. So Mike will be able to expand on that after the break. Next up is the police report. Roy, I haven't had much time to look at this. As you know, I came in moments before we went live.
We had plenty of time.
We have, let's see, I don't know where this is. Doesn't matter. There's been some animal and vandalism and theft and some property damage and fraud. You know, ordinary stuff. But in Iowa City, there's some fun stuff. Somebody called in and said people are fishing off of the parking ramps. I don't know, Roy. I've been to the parking ramps in Iowa City. I don't know what one might be fishing for.
Yeah, I mean, are they using live bait or what are they hoping to catch?
I don't hear, I don't see a lot of detail here. And, but we had certainly a concerned citizen about people fishing off the parking ramps.
It's a new place to go. No boat needed.
And this probably happens more than we know. So somebody apparently was bumming a ride off of a friend or maybe just a new acquaintance, and he just kind of stopped and said, "You're getting out here." And she called into the police or sheriff and says, "I just don't know how to get home from where I'm at." And she wanted to know if she could charge the subject for just dropping her off at the wrong location. I don't suppose that ended well for her.
I don't think so. She changed the subject when she asked when home was.
Ah, okay. Well, anyway.
Decided against it.
Takes all kinds to make this world go around. We do have something somewhat important. The Washington Police Department is looking to identify a couple individuals. I think, Roy, you've got a picture of them up?
Yep.
I'm not sure where this is, but this is a picture of them. They are asking, the Washington Police Department is asking if anybody knows these two people, please contact the police department via messenger or calling 319-653-2107.
They do ask you don't post any names on Facebook.
Okay.
So don't say, "Hey, that's Tim."
Yeah. Well, before I shaved, I might have looked like that, but no longer. That is no me. So don't put any names up. Just call the police and tell them that you think you may know who these folks are, and I'm sure they would appreciate your help. That's all the details we have. We don't know any more than that, but the police are looking for that identity. That's all for right now. Roy, let's take a little break, and we'll come back and talk to our guest, Mike Zahs.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
When you aspire to be a dancer, you are both an artist and an athlete. Your strength combines with beauty and grace seamlessly. Your efforts result in enhanced coordination, the ability to cooperate and compromise with others, and the confidence to perform in front of an audience. Not to mention the fun you will have and the lifelong friendships you will develop. We are enrolling now for fall classes, and we would love to see you shine like the star that you are. Join us for Dance and Tumbling at Stairway to the Stars. Please visit our website for online registration.
Hospice isn't a place, it's a type of care that focuses on living. Servicing a 7-county area, the Hospice of Washington County staff of nurses, social work, hospice aides, spiritual and grief support, volunteers, music and massage therapists are able to provide free end-of-life care where the patient lives. We write wills, give consent for organ donation, but rarely is there a plan for what we would want the final phase of our lives. At Hospice of Washington County, we encourage our patients to be in charge of their healthcare decisions while maintaining quality of life.
Family owned and operated by Andy and Sarah Ross. Ross Auto has been your vehicle repair and maintenance headquarters since 1935. We specialize in all makes of cars and light-duty trucks. With our variety of available services, let us help you keep rolling and your vehicle operating efficiently. Services include general auto repair, alignments, brakes, fuel injection, and more. Schedule your appointment today at 319-653-5656. That's 319-653-5656.
Hey Andrea, why was Cinderella so bad at soccer?
I don't know.
She kept running away from the ball.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Hello and welcome back to Washington Live. We are powered by KCTC. I am filling in for Diana Rich. I'm your host, Tim Elliott. We have our new super producer, Roy Manfredi, to my right, and to my left is our guest today, Mr. Mike Zahs. Mike, good morning again.
Good morning.
Well, let's talk. Number one, you had a great deal to do with reviving the name Frank Britton, Frank in Indiana Britton. Tell me a little more about that.
Well, I taught at the junior high, which I guess now is the high school, for many years, and adjoining that was the first airport in the world. And I was always interested in that. Frank Britton was building flyable airships in 1890, while the Wright brothers were still in junior high in Cedar Rapids. And so I was always interested in Mr. Britton for the sake of flight. 42 years ago, I actually just physically ran into a man on the south side of the square, and he knew of me and knew that I was interested in the Brittons. And he wanted to know if I would want to look through a basement he was cleaning out, which had been his father's stuff, who was the executor of Indiana Britton's estate in 1955. And so in that basement was what developed to be one of the most significant collection of early moving pictures in the world, 1,300 magic lantern slides, and enough material that we can say that Frank and Indiana Britton from Washington, Iowa are the most documented traveling entertainers in the United States.
That to me is absolutely astonishing that you two bumped into each other, number one. But how did you feel when you went down and realized what you were looking at?
Well, I didn't realize what I was looking at.
Oh.
In that I had never met a magic lantern slide before, but I looked into it, and the movies I didn't realize, but the Library of Congress was interested in those, and so I was interested in the hand-drawn plans for his airships. Mm-hmm. And they kept everything. They had records that went back to the 1850s.
That could have been so easily just poof and gone.
It was scheduled to go to an auction at the fairgrounds, which would have destroyed the collection. Everything would have been dispersed. And the man running the auction upset the man who was cleaning out the basement, and he pulled everything from the auction and made a deal with me.
How nice.
For $1,000, which was a lot of money in those days. And it was also the same week that my wife and I got married. But
you found a way.
There was one item that I knew was worth $1,000. And so I thought, I can't go wrong. Mm-hmm. But what it is, it's a priceless collection, because almost none of the material in there could be replaced.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
So is that priceless or worthless? But it's been fun. It's changed my life.
I think it's easy to say it's priceless and worth it, and it certainly has changed your life. You're still Mike Zahs to me and most people in Washington, but your dedication to this project is beyond compare. And I, for one, thank you for everything that you've done here. You have saved something that is immensely important. I think most people know about your documentary. You want to touch on that just a little bit and the travels that you've done with that?
Well, I had a 3-person film crew from Iowa City that found out about the early films and came down, and we met, started at the Ainsworth Opera House. First time I met some of the filmmakers. And so they followed me around for 3 years. Sunday night, I would send them an email of what I would be doing the next week, and they would just appear wherever they wanted that I was at. And I anticipated that and they said it was about the early films. And that's what I assumed until I saw the movie. And it wasn't about the early films. Mm-hmm. A lot of it was, but
sure.
A lot of it was, they followed me much too much.
still an interesting, and I watch it from time to time. It's still very interesting, and I don't know. I like the story and everything about it.
They did a nice job with it.
So that brings us to the 26th annual Britain Film Festival. So this has been going on much longer than all the information we know about the State Theater, which we can talk about. So let's talk about the Britain Film Festival.
Well, I had these early films and the Magic Lantern slides, and I first tried to show them at the State Theater, and that was not possible. I worked with the Ainsworth Opera House, still do, and so we started showing there the last Friday and Saturday of July every year. It is now the longest running film festival in Iowa, and as far as I know, the only film festival in the United States that shows only period material, because we show only material that is older than 1908. And this year, most of what we'll be showing is older than 1900. Some of it's older than 1895.
It's astonishing to me that Frank and Indiana had the means to do the traveling they did, because I've seen some of these films, of course, and the photos they have from Africa and you name that, you know more about it than I.
Yeah, there's 140 films in the collection, and a number of them are the only copy in the world. We have the oldest films from Egypt, the oldest films from Burma, the oldest films from many places in the world. And like I said, no other copies of those things exist. And another thing, Frank Britton advertised, he was a great promoter, largely of himself, and he was very successful at that. And he talked about he had color films. Well, it was not possible to reproduce color at that period of time. So he, as he said, I employ women in Europe to hand paint my films. They can do it so much better than women in the United States. And we have pictures of them doing it, and they hand painted each frame of a movie, and that's 15 or 16 frames per second on a little film, and they did it, hand painted that. And
imagine the size of that brush.
Well, some of them probably just had a couple bristles in them. And I didn't realize that some of these films that survived were color. Many of them had gone to the Library of Congress. They never looked at them. And I was out there one time. I've done a number of trips and work at the Library of Congress, and they had a whole stack of films for me one time, and they said, we need you to identify these films. And I thought, I'm a junior high teacher from Iowa. What do I know about early films? At the film repository of the nation. Well, they didn't know what the films were. I looked at them. Every one was a Brinton film, and every one in that stack had been hand-painted.
Unbelievable.
And so I had black and white copies of them, but now I had color copies of them.
It's such a great story. So the Britain Film Festival is going on this Friday and Saturday. Tell us more about that. Doors open at 7, and you kind of revived the Ainsworth Opera House as well.
Well, I've been involved with it from the very beginning, and Frank and Indiana appeared at the Ainsworth Opera House. So it's fitting that we do it there. And just a sideline, when he was flying or going to fly at the fairgrounds here, and it didn't happen because somebody sabotaged his efforts and people threatened his life, he and Indiana fled to Ainsworth.
Got clear to Ainsworth
and hid in the livery barn in Ainsworth until things cooled down.
Is that right?
And that livery barn is next door to the Opera House. So there's a lot of connections here.
Yeah.
But if you come to the film festival, we always start with ice cream social, with ice cream provided by the Dairy Mart. And, that's worth coming just for that.
Absolutely.
And then we'll go into the films. And this year, I'll be showing things that I have never done before. In the collection, as well as the films and Magic Lantern slides, there were wax cylinders. And they look like a piece of drainage tile.
Okay.
And they were sound recordings, some of the earliest sound recordings in the world. But I never wanted to touch a needle. What does wax do after 130 or 40 years? I didn't want to ruin them. And the Library of Congress says someday we'll be able to take that sound off, but they couldn't do it. And so I traveled a lot with the movie, and one of the places we went to show the movie was the University of Indiana. And they have one of the best sound studios in the nation. And they could take sound off of wire and lots of things. And they would, at some point, be able to take sound off of these. Mm-hmm. But they were so far booked with things for National Geographic and a lot of other things. But the University of Iowa found a man who could do it in, I believe, Van Nuys, California. So a little over a year ago, the University of Iowa sent the sound recordings to him. And it's interesting, a number, like the old movies and the sound recordings are very delicate. So the hospital packed them because they were used to packing delicate human parts. So they packed these and sent them to California. And the man there took the sound off of these recordings with a laser beam without touching them, and then put them in a form that I could access. And so we'll be playing some of those sound recordings Friday and Saturday night, and several of them have hand-painted magic lantern slides that go along with the music.
So you have to kind of pair those together.
So we'll attempt to put those together. And, maybe you're not real excited about it, but you can say that I went and I watched something that nobody else in the world could see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about taking those things and sending them to Van Nuys, California. That has to be kind of scary because anything can happen in shipping, or somebody takes a package. I would feel much better if we just hand delivered it.
Well, and I thought that when we were sending some of the movies to be copied in Pennsylvania, because the movies, sound recordings are not dangerous, but the movies are subject to explosion at any time.
Oh.
And when the Library of Congress sent some of these movies back to me years ago, they were shipped in the U.S. mail in a box marked explosive.
Oh, for gosh.
Which is no longer a postal category, but it was at that time. But like I said, the University of Iowa hospitals packaged things, and they could keep them at a certain temperature and everything, and there's been no damage. But something we don't realize, that in the early days of moving pictures, it was dangerous to go watch one. I think there were 90 people died in Nebraska watching a movie because the film exploded. There was a similar event, I think, in Indiana. It was just, the old film turns to a substance similar to nitroglycerin. And then if you put a real hot projection lamp near nitroglycerin,
you get a kaboom.
And the cellulose nitrate film will explode even if it's underwater. And I have Frank and Indiana Brenton's original movie projector. I will not be using it this weekend. I have, but I'm not using it this year. And the man that restored that in California said, "Now, do you have original films?" And I said, "Well, about 140. He said, "Are you going to show them on this?" And I said, "No." He said, "Good, because if you were going to show them on here, I wouldn't fix it." Because he had been at the University of Mexico in Mexico City going through their film collection when it exploded and blew debris 3 football fields away.
My goodness. Mike, I could talk to you for hours, I'm telling you, and I bet whoever's listening could just listen for hours. But we need to take a little break here, and when we come back, we'll visit again with Mike.
Since 1905, Kelowna Cooperative Technology Company has helped our community stay connected with the latest advancements in clear, dependable telecommunications services. KCTC provides rural Iowans with access to high-speed fiber internet, as well as phone, television, computer repair, and cybersecurity solutions. We're also proud supporters of local organizations and area schools within the community. KCTC, keeping Kelowna connected.
At the Capper Auto Group, we put our customers' needs first and understand that everyone is as different as the vehicle they select. We offer new Ford, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram vehicles in a friendly environment that puts you in the driver's seat. When it comes to service, we maintain factory-trained technicians and competitive pricing. The Capper Auto Group still believes that service after the sale provides the best customer experience. Come see the Capper experience for yourself.
You know, it's not a question of what all you have and so on with your life. It's who is in your life and how much you care for them and how much they care for you. And Tammy definitely cares.
I met Tammy about 20 years ago.
I'm your host, Tim Elliott. Today, one of the most interesting guests I've had, just because I could just sit here and listen. So when we go off air, Mike Zahs, when we go off air, the conversation just keeps going. So I'd like to talk about as much of that as we can, Mike. Frank Britton. Everything okay? We're making weird noises in here. Don't worry. Frank Britton. How did he accumulate the funds? Because he's traveling in the late 1800s to places that I would think be very difficult to get to and very expensive.
Well, Frank was from a family that was moneyed, and they didn't always get along. They took turns committing each other to the mental hospital in Mount Pleasant. And Frank's father ended up going to the Holy Land where he would be safe. And he made money a lot, and Frank used that. But Frank was very, very good at promoting himself. And during his heyday, he was probably the highest paid person in the state of Iowa. And he traveled from Texas to Minnesota and could get 1,000 people to come to one of his shows in Paris, Iowa, which is southwest of Washington, that had a population of 20. But he could get 1,000 people there, and it didn't have a railroad.
And so everybody kind of knew who he was. He
was well known. I have a letter that a man from California wrote to Frank and said, "We need you to come out here." And this is 1905. And we don't have anybody that does the type of shows that you do. Will you come out here? Well, Frank could get 1,000 people anytime he wanted them in the Midwest. And so he had a built-in audience. And he also knew that Iowa had more people than California in 1905.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to go there, and he didn't. He stayed here because he had a built-in audience. He charged more to the people that sponsored him, but they always did well because they could get an audience.
What a guy. I'm still just amazed by this Frank Britton. Amazed. Mike, where are all the films and everything now? Are they still in your possession?
Well, my wife didn't like to have them under our bed. And no, I don't have them anymore. The films are at the Library of Congress in Culpeper, Virginia, in a bunker built into the side of a mountain, in case they're on cement, in cement shelves. And if one of them were to explode, it's isolated from all the rest, so it doesn't.
Well, good.
They spent 15 years retrofitting this building for films.
But that's how far back and important these are.
Right. And when I go to the Library of Congress there, they let me take anything off the shelves I want, which is not normal. And I wanted to see the Britton films that are there, and some of them are here at the University of Iowa, but they will all eventually be in Culpeper, Virginia. And I took films off of the shelf that under ideal conditions, which is, I think, 29 degrees Fahrenheit, air changing many times an hour, and humidity perfect and everything, some of those films are deteriorating.
Even in ideal conditions?
Under ideal conditions. The films that I had for years in a shed in our yard did not deteriorate. And they say they don't understand why that is. I think I kind of understand enough, have a science background, but it's a small miracle that they've saved. We've been able to make good digital copies of everything, so if something does deteriorate, we still have a copy. But you don't want to show the originals. In the film, in the projector, we have the book of instructions that goes with the projector, and you have to hold a little door open and crank 1 revolution a second to get the right speed on the screen. And the little door is called the fire door. So if the film catches on fire, which they did occasionally, it says drop the fire door and put out the flame, then start your program again.
Just a slight delay.
Yeah.
You have technical issues like that too, don't you, Roy?
Sometimes we do, but no fires yet.
No fire door.
This is just the most intriguing thing. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up. There was a tie to a French actor with the Britton films. There's something in the Britton films that even France didn't know existed.
The man in France is the world expert on early films, Serge Bromberg, and he worked with us. He was fascinated with this. We found a number of films that were the first known surviving copy. To explain the danger of this, Serge Bromberg, like I said, is the world expert. He had, I think, maybe 600 films, not all as old as ours, but all on cellulose nitrate. He had them stored in the basement of a building outside of Paris, and I think it was 2 years ago now. Anyway, they exploded, destroyed an 8-story building, killed several people. And he was sent to prison. He volunteered to go because he should have had those out of there. Yeah. And he planned to, he just hadn't got to it.
But wasn't there a silent film actor that Frank Britton had footage of that nobody has ever seen before?
Yeah, well, just a number of the films are that way. And you didn't want to be identified in an early film because it would ruin your professional career because everybody knew film would not last. And the only people we have names for in the early films, most of them are female impersonators. What goes around comes around.
Indeed. Mike, let's talk again. I could do this for maybe days.
Well, I just want to say one thing. We have a lot of local people that have never been to the festival, or they've been there once and said, I've seen the films, but there's 140 films. I may show 10. Mm-hmm. We've had people drive just for the film festival from Austin, Texas, because they can't see this anyplace else in the country.
It's incredible.
We've had carloads of people come from Chicago and Omaha and such because of the significance of what is shown. And so we need to be proud of it in our community.
Absolutely.
And I know when we premiered the documentary in Washington, D.C., a lady asked a question afterwards. She said, and this happened in Iowa? Mm-hmm. And I said, we didn't get that question in Iowa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Much more happens here than what we ourselves give us credit for.
Yeah, indeed. Well, everybody, take some time, if you have some time, this Friday and Saturday at 7 o'clock to the Ainsworth Opera House. See Mike in action and all that he has been able to save.
And the program is the same both nights.
Okay.
But we have a lot of people that come both nights.
Mike, from one of your best students, as I recall, thank you very much from coming in today. We should do this in parts. We should do part 1, 2, 3, 10, so on and so forth. But thanks so much for coming in. We better get to National Day. And National Day is National All or Nothing Day today. Roy, what do you think of that?
I'll go, I guess.
Throw caution to the wind. Don't be hesitant today, Mike. So, anything you've been wanting to really get done today, do it all or do nothing. It's quite okay.
I got to mow my grass, so that means I got to do the front yard, side yard, backyard, all of it.
Roy, should have done that last night. Should have done that last night. Mike, are you familiar with our birthday game?
I have participated in the past.
Well, we do have a birthday game today, and Roy, I'll let you take that over.
Yeah, so it's our birthday game today. We got 4 birthdays. You're going to get a point if you get within 3 years of the age. You get 2 points if you nail it head on. So we got 4 celebrities here. If you're playing along at home, we'll post a picture up there. So first one is going to be Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger of fame. There's a picture of him.
From the Rolling Stones.
Yep. Lead
singer of the Rolling Stones. Do you listen to him much growing up?
I haven't today, but
I'm going to just guess Mick at 80.
We're going to do 77.
7. Well, you know, we're going to give 1 point to Mike and 2 points to Tim because he is 80.
Uh-huh. Very good.
All right, so we're going to go to our second celebrity here, if I can find the arrow. Oops, past there. It's going to be Dorothy Hamill of ice skating fame, Olympic gold medal winner.
Gold medalist. Was it 76? Do you have that information, Roy?
I don't. I wasn't around in 76. I don't remember.
If you got a computer, you don't have to be anywhere anymore. I'm going to guess Dorothy at... I should be kind to Dorothy. She was quite the skater. I'm going to say she is 60.
I'm going to say 53.
She is actually 67.
Ooh,
wow. We're both.
Well, Dorothy is sending us thank yous right now.
It was 76, by the way. You were right, Tim.
Okay.
All right.
I
Let's
remember
see.
watching.
Our third. It's going to be Kevin Spacey. Was in the news today. Got cleared of his charges.
Oh, he did? I knew that went to deliberations. He was getting charged for something that I don't want to talk about over in Europe somewhere.
How old is he? Looking.
I think Kevin is 64. I bet he's older than that, Mike.
I'm going to say 73.
73. Well, surprisingly, Tim, he is 64 years old.
Just so everybody knows, I've kind of been on a roll at this game. My first 4 or 5 weeks of this, not good. So
the last one is my celebrity crush. So I'm gonna award 5 points if you get it head on. This is Sandra Bullock. I can do that, right? I can just give extra points.
You're sitting there with all the stuff on the
buttons,
desk. So.
Yeah.
Mike, you want to go first or you want me to go first?
I'll go 40.
Oh, well, I think she is 56.
56? She's actually 59. So another point for you there, Tim.
I see we're out of trophies, too. Normally we have the little trophies over here.
I have to get medals.
If you would have tried harder if you saw the trophy we were playing.
Yeah, I just didn't have the encouragement.
Well, okay. So my winning streak carries on.
We should have a picture before and after makeup.
Sandra, she is just cute as a bug. I like the movies she's in and stuff like that. Not like Frank Bittin movies at all. Okay, well, that's all for today's show. Roy, thanks very much, and good to meet and work with you today.
Yeah,
I think I'm coming back Friday.
All right.
If Matt will have me. Mike Zahs, thanks so much for coming in. Always interesting to talk to you, whether on the street or in the studio. And thank you all for joining. Until next time.